The Kroveth armada hung in the void like metallic vultures circling their prey. 300 warships, each bristling with plasma cannons and shield generators that had conquered 17 star systems in the past decade. Admiral Verkith stood on the bridge of his flagship, mandibles clicking with satisfaction as he surveyed the human colony world of New Terra below. Pathetic, he hissed, his translator converting the words into standard galactic. Their defense grid is centuries behind ours. This will be over before the next solar cycle. His tactical officer, a younger Kroveth named Zalmer, shifted nervously. Admiral, our intelligence suggests the humans have been quiet lately. No major fleet movements, no territorial expansion. Some analysts believe analysts are cowards, Verkith snapped. The humans are primitives who stumbled into space travel barely 2 centuries ago. They lack the warrior culture, the tactical sophistication, the sheer evolutionary superiority of the Kroveth Empire. He gestured at the view screen. Begin the bombardment. I want that planet's infrastructure reduced to... The sensors screamed. Every display on the bridge erupted in crimson warnings. Zalmer's claws fumbled across his console, his eyes widening in disbelief. Admiral, unknown contact. It just appeared. No warp signature, no dimensional breach. It's just there. Verkith spun toward the tactical display. At the edge of the system, where empty space had existed milliseconds before, now hung a single ship. It was enormous, easily 5 times the mass of his flagship, but its design was unlike anything in the galactic database. The hull was jet black, seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it, and its surface rippled with patterns that hurt to look at directly. No visible weapons ports, no standard propulsion arrays, just smooth, impossible geometry that shouldn't exist. Hail them, Verkith ordered, fighting to keep the tremor from his voice. Demand identification. The response came not through standard communications, but directly into every Kroveth neural implant simultaneously, a feat that should have been technologically impossible. This is UHSF Prometheus. You are in violation of the Terra Accords, Section 7. Subsection 3. Unprovoked aggression against human territories. Stand down immediately or face obliteration. The voice was humanfemale.com, professional. Verkith's mandibles spread in what passed for a Kroveth smile. One ship, even a massive one, against 300. I am Admiral Verkith of the Kroveth Empire. Your threats are as empty as your ship's weapon bays. Surrender, and perhaps we will allow your crew to serve as negative. Final warning, Admiral. You have 10 seconds to begin withdrawal. Verkith roared with laughter. All ships, target that monstrosity. Fire at will. Inside the Prometheus, Commander Elizabeth Chen stood at the center of a spherical command deck. Holographic displays floating around her like galaxies in miniature. Her augmented neural interface connected her directly to the ship's quantum consciousness, the merger of human intuition and artificial processing power that operated on principles most species couldn't even comprehend. Jackson. They're firing, she said quietly. Lieutenant Jackson Torres, the ship's tactical officer, watched from his station as 300 ships unleashed enough firepower to glass a continent. Plasma bolts, antimatter torpedoes, graviton beams, all converging on their position. Shields holding it. Wait, we're not even raising shields, Jackson asked, confused. Don't need to, Elizabeth replied. Her eyes glowed with faint blue light as she interfaced deeper with Prometheus, engaging phase shift defense. The incoming barrage passed through the Prometheus like light through fog. Every projectile, every beam of energy, simply ceased to exist in the same dimensional space as the human ship. To the Kroveth sensors, it looked as if their weapons had been fired at a ghost. Verkith stared at the readings, his confidence evaporating. Impossible. Nothing can. Your 10 seconds are up, Admiral. Initiating defensive protocols. Elizabeth didn't smile. There was no joy in what came next, only necessity. Jackson. Authorize Cascade Protocol. Authorization. Chungamusa. Jackson's hands moved across his console with practiced precision. Authorization. Torres Delta. Cascade Protocol active. God help them. God's not here, Elizabeth whispered. Just us. The Prometheus didn't fire weapons in any conventional sense. Instead, reality itself around the Kroveth fleet began to fold. On the Kroveth flagship, Zalmer screamed as his instruments registered what was happening. The fabric of space-time was being manipulated on a scale that defied physics as his species understood it. Each Kroveth warship was suddenly existing in a pocket dimension, a femtosecond out of sync with normal space, close enough to see, too far to interact with anything, including life support systems or each other. Ships began imploding as their power cores lost coherency. Shields collapsed. Hull integrity failed. In the span of 3 heartbeats, 300 warships became 300 expanding clouds of debris and frozen corpses. Verkith managed to activate his emergency beacon before his ship's atmosphere vented into the void. His last transmission was a single word: monsters. Elizabeth withdrew from the interface, her hands shaking slightly. Jackson brought up the damage assessment: 0 Kroveth survivors, 0 damage to Prometheus, and the colony below was completely unaware anything had even happened. Another one for the records, Jackson said quietly. Elizabeth nodded, suddenly looking exhausted. Send the usual message to Krovith High Command, same as always. Jackson drafted the message that every aggressive species eventually received after encountering humanity's new generation of warships. Your fleet entered human space with hostile intent. Your fleet no longer exists. This is your only warning. Humanity does not seek war, but we have become very, very good at it. Choose peace or choose extinction. As Prometheus disappeared back into the dimensional fold from which it had emerged, Elizabeth stared at the debris field that had been an armada. Humanity had been underestimated, invaded, nearly exterminated in the early days of galactic contact. But humans were survivors, innovators, and when pushed to the brink, they had done what they always did: they evolved. The galaxy had once seen humanity as primitives. Now they saw them as something far more terrifying, equals, who refused to play by anyone's rules but their own. The mysterious human warship was gone, but its message echoed across a dozen star systems by morning. Don't wake the sleeping giants. They've learned to bite back.